We have worked with number lines before, and of course we're still solving subtraction problems, two-digit subtraction problems. But today we're going to be thinking about how could we take subtraction and turn it into an addition problem as well. And we know that fact families allow us to do that. If we have a subtraction problem, we can turn those three numbers around into and turn them into an addition problem. For example, something really simple for all of us, 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. I know that 5 minus 3 is 2. I know that 5, let me do it this way. 5, if I take away 3, I have 2 left. 5, if I take away 2, I have 3 left. Well, the same thing, I can turn it into addition. 3 plus 2 is 5, or I could say 2 plus 3 is 5. So fact families, that's how they work. Even if we have a fact family that involves two-digit numbers, we can still use that same principle and turn a subtraction problem into an addition problem. So that's what I have here on the screen. I have my subtraction problem, 34 minus 9 equals question mark. But I could turn that into an addition problem and say, well, if 34 minus 9 is a fact, then I know that I could turn it around and say 9 plus what would get me to 34. I've also drawn a little number bond at the bottom of my screen. This number bond shows the fact family. In a fact family, we always have the largest number or the sum at the top of our number bond. And I know that 34 can be made by adding these two smaller parts together, the 9 plus the question mark, or question mark plus 9, okay? If it were a subtraction, I could say 34 take away 9 equals question mark, or 34 take away question mark equals 9. So think about fact families when you're solving subtraction problems. So on this, let me open this up a little bit more. And we are doing 9 plus question mark equals 34. That's what this number line is showing you. 9 plus equals 34. Okay? So, and we've seen open number lines before. What I want to do is talk about the direction of the arrows on this number line, where the number line begins, where the number line jumps to, where do we hop to, and where does it end? So the first thing I want to do is look at the arrows, okay? And I can tell that the arrows are moving this direction. Now, the direction of the arrows is a clue on if I'm adding or subtracting. So if you know if this number line is showing addition or subtraction, give me a thumbs up. Do you know that it's addition or subtraction? Of course, it's showing addition, okay? Because when the arrows go point to the right, they're going, our numbers are moving up the number line. The numbers are getting bigger as we go up. So our first jump, we're going to start at 9, okay? I want you to think about this equation. It says 9 plus question mark equals 34. So I see my 9, there's my 9, that's where I start, and I'm going to end up at 34. Here's my 34. So I want to know how many jumps are there in between? What would I be adding from 9 to get to 34? So let's look at our first jump. It goes 9 plus question mark gets me to 10. 9 plus what equals 10? Well, we know that 9 plus 1 equals 10. So I could put a plus 1 at the top of my jump right there. So I'm adding 1. 9 plus 1 equals 10. All right. But I'm only at 10. I still need to get to 34. So the first step took me to the nearest 10 on this number line, okay? So that's a strategy that we can use when we're using the add up strategy to solve a subtraction problem. Let's add to the nearest 10. So that's what this one did. 9 plus 1 is 10. Now, I know I need to get to 34, right? So 34, when I look at that number in the tens place on 34, I know that that 3 represents 30. So if I'm at 10, I know I could jump to 30 and still be safe. I can still go farther than 30 for this particular problem. So from 10 to 30, what number that would be? Would that be 10? There's 10 plus what gets me to 30? 10 plus what will get me to 30? If you know that answer, click your little hand and I'll take the first one. And it's Trenton. Trenton, hold on just a second. Trenton, unmute your mic and tell me 10 plus what gets me to 30?
20.
20, you are correct. All right, so on this number line, they've gone 10 plus 20 more. So I'm going to put my 20 there. 10 plus 20 gets me to 30, and I'm going to write that here. Okay, so I've got my 9 plus 1 gets me to 10. 10 plus 20 gets me to 30. And then I have one more step to go, right? So far I've added 1, 20 more. I have one more jump to go, and it's from 30 to 34, which was my final answer, right? 30 plus what gets me to 34? And I'm not sure, it looks like Evan's got his hand up. Evan, unmute yourself. 30 plus what equals 20, I'm sorry, 34? 30. 30 plus what is 34?
4.
4 is correct. Okay. All right. Cadence and Evan, you can put your hand down. 30 plus 4 more gets me to 34. So my last step was 30 plus 4 equals 34. Now, folks, I want you to understand, why am I writing all of this out over here? Okay, let me get a different color. Why am I writing this out? I'm writing that out because I still have to keep track of all my jumps. I have to keep track of how much I've added so that I can find out what is my missing number, because I'm trying to figure out how much I added all together. So I can look at the top of my number line and I can add the numbers that way. I could also just look at what I wrote. I see that all of these numbers are the ones I added together. I've added 1, 20, and 4. Here they are, 1, 20, and 4. That's going to get me my missing number. So if I were to write it off to the side, 1 plus 20 plus 4, now I have to think about, what is that answer? I'm going to put these small numbers together first. 1 plus 4, 1 plus 4 more is 5, right? So I know that 1 and 4 is 5. So now all I have to do is 20 plus 5 more, and my answer is 25. So my missing number right here, 9 plus 25 equals 34, okay? And Tucker, you can put your hand down, all right? So go ahead and open up your book and let's take a look at page 71. And I have it up here. All right. This is the exact same number line that I just showed you on that really cool number line app that you guys all should have on your iPad. So this page is going to talk about two different ways that we could solve 34 minus 9. And I just showed you one of the ways. So this method is go to the first 10. Okay, so we're going to add up to the first 10. That's what this method is showing us. So again, just like I showed you on that number line, our first step is going to take us to the next 10. So 9 plus how many was 10? That was 1. So on your book, we're going to write the 1 right there. We added 1 first. The next step, step number 2, we're going to add to get to 30. We're going to start at 10 because that's where our number line took us to. We're going to start at 10 and add, as Trenton told us, we're going to be adding 20 on the next step. So 10 plus 20 gets us to 30. And now we just need 4 more to get to 34 because that's where we wanted to end. Remember, we started at 9. We wanted to find how much is in between 9 to 34 to get our answer. So that last jump was 30 plus 4, and that got us to 34. So that was the third step, okay? As I explained, we need to now find the total of all our jumps. We added 1 plus 20 plus 4. I want you with your pencil, I'm going to get a different color. With your pencil, I want you to make a nice rectangle right here around those numbers in the middle. And I want to talk about that for a second. I want you to notice that when we are adding to solve a subtraction problem, we're not doing any subtracting. Every single step was adding. I added 1. I added 20. I added 4. And that information is going to come in very handy for you when you go to take this lesson's quiz. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so you need to pay attention to if I'm adding to solve the problem, are all my steps adding? Okay, so our total for these jumps, remember we said it was 25. We started at 9. How many we added was in the middle, and we at 34. Okay, so 9 plus 5 equals 34. And now they're saying, well, if we can do that with addition, then I know that 34 minus 9 also is 25. Okay, so that's how fact families figure into these types of problems. All right, now let's just pretend, again, we're going to pretend that we have split our paper in half because the next one shows us another way to solve a subtraction problem. This time, we're going to subtract, but we're going to use a number line. So I'm going to go ahead and move my paper up. We are still doing the same problem. We are still trying to find 34 minus 9, and we want to know what is that answer. Of course, we already know because we solved it. We know the answer is 25, but let's pretend we don't know that yet. On this number line, we're going a different way than on the other number line. Notice that the arrows are going this direction. They're moving down the number line. Our numbers on the number line, when we follow the arrows, our numbers are getting smaller. We go from 34 down to 30, and then finally down to 25, okay? In this case, we are subtracting a total of 9, okay? So in order to subtract on the number line, we start with our largest number in our equation, which is 34, and then we're going to make our hops add to 9. Well, now they said, let's think about what would be the best way to break up 9 so that we could go to a 10 first. I want you to look at this number 30. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's look at number 34. Let's look at the ones place. There's a 4 there. Is 4 less than 9? That's the question you want to ask. Yes, 4 is less than 9. So if the number in my ones place on my starting number is less than the amount that I have to subtract, I know that I can take the 4 away first to get to 30. And so that's what they did. They decided, I'm going to start at 34 and I'm going to take away 4 first to get me down to 30. So what they are really doing is they're taking the number 9 and they're breaking up into 4 plus 5, okay? I need to subtract a total of 9. So first I'm going to take away 4, and I'm going to cross that 4 out. Then I can finally take away the 5, and there's the 5. So I know that when I add 4 plus 5, I'm going to get 9, and that's what I have. 34 take away 9. So when I look at my equations to the side, it tells me because 34 has 4 ones, I'm going to subtract 4 first. Then I will subtract the rest of it, and I'll subtract the 5. With your pencil, I would like you to come over here, and I want you to put in a rectangle around the 4 and the 5 in those equations to the side. These steps are: step 1, solve 34 minus 4 and get 30. The next thing we're going to do, step 2, is take the 30 and then take away 5 more, right? And I get 25. So there should be a big so right here. That tells me that 34 minus a total of 9, because I know that 4 and 5 equal 9. My final answer is 25. Everybody go ahead and write the 25 there. And Tucker, you have your hand up. Tucker, will you unmute yourself and ask your question? Tucker, unmute yourself and ask your question. All right. I'm going to take, all right, good. Okay. Now, Does anybody have any questions about these two different methods? Remember, one way is to add up on the number line to find out what 34 minus 9 is, starting with the 9, starting with the 9 and ending at 34. Or you could just do your subtraction and make a 10 first. Starting at 34, subtract to get to the 10, and then following up with 5 more to subtract. In this case, we don't know how much we're adding up in the subtraction part. Okay, we're using the 34 and the 9 on the number line and adding up. In the second example, we are going to start at 34 and we're going to take away 9 in our jumps to find out the final answer. Cadence has a question, and Cadence, let me fix it so that you can unmute. Cadence, unmute yourself and ask your question.
So, let's see. Why did we also have to circle the 9? The 9.
The 9. Go ahead.
At the top.
Okay, why did we circle the 9? This 9 right here on the number line?
No, the other one.
This 9 up here?
No, like down. Like.
The 9 here?
Yeah.
I'm trying to show you that we start at 9. When we count up, when we add up, that was a really good question. When we add up, we take whatever this number is that they want us to subtract, that's where we start. If the problem, Cadence, if the problem were 34 minus 17, we would start at 17. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. In this case, it was 34 minus 9. So that's where we started. That was a great question, Cadence, and you can put your hand down. All right. We're going to move on to the bottom of that problem. Okay? The bottom of this problem asks us, how can you subtract 46 minus 8? Explain one way. We have a different problem, okay? Now, we could either add up on the number line, or we could do subtraction, okay? So let's do an add up. Let's try that one, okay? So I'm going to help you. You just follow along and do exactly what I do, okay? Our first step to solve this problem is draw just the line. And I'm going to use the line on my page to help me. I'm just going to take this top line right here and I'm going to carefully follow it to the end and put my little arrows on the end, okay? Go ahead and do that step first. Remember, we're going to add up to solve this problem. In order to add up, I need to know my fact family rule. And my fact family rule says that if I have a subtraction problem, I can flip it around and turn it into an addition problem. That means I'm going to do 8 plus question mark. The question mark is going to be my jumps equals, and we need to end at 46. I'm going to make that a little bit wider for you. Okay, so 8 plus question mark equals, let's get started. We are going to start on our number line with the Cadence asked that question. Did you circle that? Up in the other one, it was I circled that 9 over and over again, right? I want to start with 8 on my number line, all right? So I'm going to put a little line here and I'm going to put my 8 there. Start with that lower number in our equation, which is 8. The question mark is what's going to be in between. The question mark is going to be, what are we adding in between to get to our final answer? And in this equation, our final answer will be 46. So at the end is where we're going to write the 46. Okay, so those are the two numbers that we know for sure from this equation. The question mark is, how are we going to jump? What are we going to do? As in the example at the top of your page, our strategy was to go to the first 10, the very next 10. And I'm going to repeat myself over at the side of my paper, because the tens, when we talk about the tens, we are talking about 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and so on. I'm not going to go any farther, but those are the tens. So if I'm starting at 8, what would be the very closest, the very next 10 going up? What would that be? If you know that answer, push your little hand in. I'll take the first one. Cadence, whoa, Cadence, you were fast with that. Cadence, unmute yourself. What is my very next 10 from 8?
You have to jump 2 times.
And if I jump 2, I get to what 10?
The first 10.
It is 10, right? 10 would be my first 10.
Yes.
And she said I'm adding 2. All right. Good job, Cadence. I'm going to put you back. And you can put your hand down. Luke, you can put your hand down. All right, so remember, we want to keep track of all of our addition steps. So over to the side, let's write 8 plus 2 got us to 10. Go ahead and write that. That was our first step. We went to the first 10. Okay. Now, here's a trick. I'm going to show you a trick. In order to know what my next jump's going to be, I want it to go clear up to 40. And the reason why I know what I want to go to 40 is because here is 4 tens right here. 4 tens is 40. So I know that I can safely jump up to 40 for my next jump. So let's go ahead and put a line right here. We're going to put 40 below, but now we have to figure out, Luke, put your hand down. Now we have to figure out what is that jump from 10 all the way to 40. 10 plus what? Maya is the first one with her hand up. 10 plus what gets me to 40? Think about it. If I have a 10, what do I need to add to have 4 tens? Okay, I have 10 and I need to have 40. All right, Maya, you can unmute yourself. Tell me, what do I add to 10 that gets me to 40? 10 plus what equals 40? Maya, unmute yourself.
10 plus 30.
Plus 30 is correct. All right, those of you who have your hands up can lower your hand. But Maya is correct. We are adding 30. So I'm going to put add 30 here. I'm going to circle it. And don't forget, we want to keep track of all our steps. Maya, you can put your hand down too. So our first step was 8 plus 2 equals 10. And our next step will be, we started at 10, so we got 10 plus, Maya said we add 30 next, 30, and we ended up at 40. Okay, so that was step number 2. And then we have one more jump from 40 to 46. So 40 to 46. 40 plus what gets me 46? I'm going to take Bailey Klipner. Bailey Klipner, go ahead and unmute your mic. 40 plus what, Bailey Klipner, gets me to 46?
6. You need 6 more.
I do. I need to add 6 more. Great job. All right, everybody can lower their hands. And it's 40 plus 6 more gets me to 46. So that's my last step. I want to write 40 plus 6 equals 46. I'm done. I know I'm done because I started at 8. Let me get a different color. I started with 8, remember? That's what we started with. And we ended at 46. Okay, so now I know I've done my job. I know I've found all, oh, I need Bailey Klipner to please mute your camera. Thank you. I ended at 46. Now all I have to do is count my jumps. I'm going to count those jumps that I made, but you know what? They're right here. So let's all make a rectangle around our jumps. Notice that every single one of them is adding. All right. So we need to add 30 plus 2 plus 6 more. Well, I'm going to think out loud for a second. I think I'm going to put my 2 smaller numbers together. I know that 2 plus 6 or 6 plus 2, remember fact families, we can switch this around. 6 plus 2 is 8, right? So if I have 8 here, 6 plus 2 is 8, then I know I can do 30 plus 8, and my answer is 38. Yay, 38. So let's all write so. Oh, let me change color. You can see it better. So I know that 8 plus 38, folks, equals 46. We found the answer. Our missing number is 38, right? We solved it with addition. Let's go back to the original problem. The original problem said 46, let's all write this, 46 minus 8, and we found out the answer is 38. So let's write 38. That's our final solution to this original equation. All right. Our strategy we used was to count up or add up, going to the first 10, going to the next 10, the higher 10, and then adding what was left over. So if we have any parents listening, I know this seems like a long, drawn out method, and it is when we're first learning about it, but I've come to find out that people who are just intelligent with math, this is kind of what they do in their head anyway. They just kind of do it. It becomes automatic. So that's what we're trying to teach our children is, yes, right now we're teaching them the steps and the reasons behind it, but once they start working with these, making tens first, whether adding or subtracting, it becomes automatic and they'll be able to just solve 2-digit, 3-digit, they'll be able to solve these kinds of problems very quickly. All right. Okay, so we are finished with that page. Now, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I can just go on down the page. So let's take a look at the next page, which is 72. But what I want you to do is just put your pencil in the book and close it up. Put your pencil in the book and close it for me. Just look up at the screen. Now, this page also is showing 2 different ways to do the add up strategy. All right? Because I want you just to look at the screen, I want you to look at the screen because I'm going to do it in the opposite way, okay? First, we're just going to read this little story and make sense of it. It says there are 54 children at camp. Of these, in other words, of these children, I have 54. Some of them are girls, some of them are boys, right? It tells me how many are girls. 27 of them are girls. That means the rest of them are boys, right? We know that this is going to be a subtraction problem. And if it's a subtraction problem, I can flip it around and turn it into an addition problem. So that's what this one's all about. I'm going to go ahead and write out our subtraction problem. Do not write anything, just watch the screen. Our subtraction problem is 54 minus 27 equals question mark. We want to know how many boys, okay? So this will be our number of boys. This is our number of girls. When we put those 2 numbers together, we get all of the children, all 54 at camp. Fact families tell me I can flip things around with this problem. So I can go 27 plus question mark. Remember, those are going to be our hops on our number line, equals 54. And like Cadence had asked, why did you keep circling that 9? It's because on that problem, we were starting on our number line with 9. This is a different problem. So guess what number I'm going to be circling? It's the 27. That's the number I want to start with, and I want to end at 54 on my number line, okay? Hopefully your book is still closed. I'm going to skip down to the second example because the second example is how we've already been doing these problems, okay? I'm going to go ahead and draw my squiggly line there because this page is showing us 2 different ways to solve the problem. We're looking at this bottom way first. You don't have to do any writing. You just need to pay attention. So we could add up to the next 10. Remember, that's how we did that last problem. So we start with 27, right, Cadence? 27 is where we start. Here it is. We're starting at 27, and we're going to end up at 54 because our original problem is 54 minus 27. We're flipping it around, turning it into an addition problem because that's what fact families tell us that we can do, and we can still get the answer. So to go to the next 10, it says we could count up. Oh, sorry, not yet. Let me get rid of that. I went ahead of myself. All right. Okay, so we want to go to this next 10, which is 30. Remember the 10s are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so on. So our next 10 from 27, our closest next 10 going up, adding up is going to be 30. So we added 3, 27 plus 3 equals 30. Here it is over here. Remember, they're keeping track of all of our steps. So we did 27 plus 30, or plus 3 is 30. I'm going to write the little and next to it because that tells me I have another step to do. Now I'm at 30. And remember that little trick I told you, which 10 are we going to hop to? Well, 54, I see my 50 right there in the number 54. Here it is up here. So I know I can hop all the way up to 50 and be safe. Okay, so I'm going to go from 30 to 50, and 30 plus 20 equals 50. So here's our next step. 30 plus 20 equals 50. All right, we're not done. We need to end up at 54. So 50 plus 4 more get me to 54. And here it is. I'm going to put and 50 plus 4 more equals 54. I know I'm done. I started at 27. I ended up at 54. So the answer to my problem, this question mark, is when I add all three of my hops together. Just like I taught you how to do, I'm going to kind of put a rectangle around all three of my hops. What did I add? I added 3, I added 20, I added 4. Remember, oh, please mute your camera, Evan. Remember, when we're adding those together, I like to put the small numbers together first. So I'm going to put the 3 and the 4 together, and I know that 3 plus 4 is 7. So when I add 20 plus 7, what do I get? And I'm going to have Daniel tell us. Daniel, unmute your microphone. And what is 20 plus 7, which was the 3 and the 4 together? What's 20 plus 7, Daniel? Unmute your mic and tell me. Daniel.
90.
20
90.
plus 7 more. 20 plus 7 more.
90.
Daniel, what?
I know it's somewhere up in the 90s.
20 plus 7. I want you to think about that some more, Daniel. 20 plus 7. I'm going to take Nicholas. Nicholas, hold on just a second. And Nicholas, can you tell me what 20 plus 7 is? Unmute your microphone.
27.
27 is correct. Okay, everybody can put their hand down. Just touch your hand and it will go away. So 20 plus 7, remember this 3 and the 4 is 7. So 20 plus 7 is 27. That is adding all my hops together. And that means that my missing number is 27. So in my equation, I would write 27 plus 27 equals 54, which means 54 minus 27 is 27. Hey, that's a doubles fact. 27 plus 27. All right. I wanted to do what was familiar first. That strategy is first add up to the next 10. That's what this whole part right here is. We're adding to the closest 10. That's our first step. The other way that we could do it is at the top of the page. This one says, well, if you wanted to, you could just add a big lump of 10s first, not trying to go to the nearest 10. Please, Bailey Klipner, please mute your camera. So this is just another way to do adding on a number line, and it's going to be up to you which way you prefer, but you need to know different ways so that you recognize it and understand that it's all the same thing, okay? I'm going to just go ahead and put a rectangle around the 3 numbers that were added. They added 20 plus 3 plus 4 in their jumps. Going to come back down here. We also added 20 plus 3 plus 4. So we still added the same amount on our number line. They just added it in a different order. So this is what they did. They started their number line at 27, just like we did on the other number line. They ended their number line the same exact way at 54, just like we did on the other number line. The only difference is how they went about adding their numbers to get to 54. They chose to just add a bunch of tens, okay? Now, 27. If I have 27, and I think the best way to look at it is this way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, if I have 27, how many tens could I add safely so that I don't go past 54, right? So I'm going to start adding tens. This is 27. If I add another 10, I have 37. So far, we haven't gone past 54. If another 10, let's see, that's 47. Okay, I haven't gone past 54. What happens if I try to add one more 10? Ah, I went past 54, right? I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 57. So we can't add that many tens. I'm going to have to go and take that 10 off. Now, how many tens can I safely add to 27? I can add 2 more tens to 27. And I know that 2 tens is the same as 20. So they chose to add a big group of tens first, okay, to 27. So 27 plus 20 more gets you to 47. And that's their first step. 27 plus 20 is 47. The next step was, now how many more do I need to go? Well, in this case, they went and did a little hop to the nearest 10. So they're still hopping to the nearest 10. Please, Bailey Klipner, please click your, do not unmute your cameras, people, please. So they went to the nearest 10, 47 to 50, and they added 3. Okay, so 47 plus 3 more is 50. And then they knew that they had only 4 more to go because they were at 50 and they needed to get to 54. 50 plus 4 is 54. And there it is. Okay, so now we add our 20 plus 3 plus 4, and we know that that answer was 27. We get the same exact answer. 54 minus 27 is 27. They just went about doing it in a different way. Okay, Zach, Sandy has his hand up. Zach, I'm going to have you go ahead and unmute your microphone. And what was your question?
I didn't know I had my hand up.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead and open your book and take a look at this page 72. You don't have to write all this crazy stuff that I did, okay? I would like for you to go ahead and put a rectangle over here where they're showing you the different steps and showing you how much they've added in the first one, the first example. And I would like for you to put your rectangle around this bottom one as well, okay? Because what I'm trying to explain and show you is they are still adding the same numbers. They just have them in a different order. Everything's adding, everything's moving up the number line. This method just takes you to the very first 10. That's their first step. And this one just adds a whole bunch of 10s first. Okay, so they're different, but they're the same. There's different things about them, but there's very similar things about them. Okay, we are going to move on to this page that has all our questions and where we're going to write all our answers. You have that page 72 right there for you to see. You're just going to have to look over to that page to get our answers, but our first question says, in the first modelet, okay, that's the one at the top of the page. In the first modelet, what number do we start with? What number do we start with on the first modelet? Maya? Maya, go ahead and unmute yourself. What number do we start with?
27.
27 is correct. Everybody write 27. And okay, what number do we stop at or end with? 54. Remember, our number line starts at 27 and it ends at 54. It says now they want us to look at the second modelet, the one at the bottom half of the page. That wants to know, why did we add 3 first on the second modelet? Why did we add 3 first on that first step? We wanted to add up to the next 10, right? Whoops, sorry about that. Oh my goodness. So on the second modelet, we added 3 first to get to the next 10. That's why we added 3 first. We just simply wanted to get to the next 10. Then it says, what is 54 minus 27 and how did we get our answer? Well, we learned that 54 minus 27 is 27, right? So we're going to start there. 54 minus 27 equals 27. How did we get our answer? By adding up. We started at 27 and added up. And you know what we added up using? We added up using 10s and 1s. Okay. Don't worry if you don't get everything written down. You will have a video to watch, so don't worry about it. It says, how are the 2 models on the previous page alike and how are they different? Whenever we have a question like that, we have to explain how they're the same and how they're different. We can't just say that they're the same and stop there, or we can't just say how they're different and stop there. We have to tell both things, okay? I know that they're alike because they both add those same 3 numbers, right? So I'm going to say they both add, remember the 3 numbers, and if you don't remember those 3 numbers, just look at that page and see what we put in the rectangle, or look above both of those number lines. They are both adding a 20 somewhere, right? So they both are adding 20. They are both adding a 3, just in different orders, right? They both add a 3, and they are both adding a 4. That's how they are alike. But they're different because they add those numbers in a different order. They are different because they add the numbers in a different order. And I know, whoa, I know I write way faster than you. Don't worry about it. In a different order. One of them goes to the very next 10. The other one adds 10 first. 1 goes to the next 10 first. The other adds 10s first. All right, I know that's a lot of writing. You may have to add another line like I did. Now, don't worry about it. You can always watch the video and catch up on all that writing. But I am going to kind of scoot down here so that I can help you with today's classroom assignment. We are at the very last problem for our lesson today. So please stop writing and pay attention because I want to help you get started on this assignment. Okay? So our assignment says to subtract 71 minus 36 by adding up. It says to show your work. This is what I want you to do. This is what I'm going to expect that you're going to show me on this assignment. Pay close attention. You are going to draw a number line. So we're going to start our number line first. Notice I did not take up the entire paper to do the number line, okay? Since they want us to add up, we're going to switch 71 minus 36. We're going to switch it around and turn it into an addition problem. Our addition problem will be 36. Please write it to the side like I'm doing. 36 plus what? That's our question mark. That's your total number of jumps equals 71. We now have the numbers that we're going to start our number line with and the number that we're going to end our number line with, right? So I'm still helping you. You're going to start at 36. You are going to make a bunch of jumps and end up at 71. You will not go past 71. Okay. Now, I want you to, for today's assignment, I want you to figure out how are you going to make your jumps? Which one of these two methods are you going to try? Are you going to try the one we did many times, which was going to the next 10 first? Cadence, you need to please click on your camera and close it up. Are you going to go to the next 10 first with your first jump, or are you just going to add a bunch of 10s first? like they did in the very first Model It on page 72. Please make sure that you're looking back at page 72 to help you with this assignment. But just like before, I want you to solve this problem on your paper. I want you to take a picture of it, and I want you to upload it to your Schoology assignment. I have not made that assignment yet, so you have time to work on it. And we are done with our lesson. Do not leave yet. Please do not leave yet. I need to do one more thing before you leave. And okay,